Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler, WPblab, episode number 96. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing some fun stuff. Yes, we're going to be talking about some fun stuff tonight. We're going to be talking about the pros and cons of brand fragmentation. But before we introduce our guest, which you can see down the bottom of the screen, just ignore him for a minute. Bridget, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hey, everybody. I'm the co-host of WPblab on the WPwatercooler network with Jason Tucker, which I keep forgetting to say, so I'm going to say it on the show that I'm at. I'm also a marketing consultant. I blog at bridgetwillard.com, and I'm a team rep at Make WordPress, make.wordpress.org for the marketing team. Hope to see you at WordCamp Orange County, LA, and of course, Europe in Belgrade, Virginia.
What? That's awesome.
Yep, I'm so excited.
I'm excited for you. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. And this particular episode of WPblab is brought to you by TunnelBear. Go over to wpwatercooler.com/TunnelBear, and you can learn more about their awesome VPN solution. Works on Macs, works on Windows, works on Android, works on iPhone. You even have a Chrome extension. You can just install it and just use it out of Chrome. Super duper awesome. Pretend to be in all these different places. You can be like Bridget and travel the world, but never actually go anywhere. And you can watch all of the crazy Google versions of Google and Yahoo and all the other websites that you go to and see it in different languages. It's amazing. So tunnelbear.com, go take a look at that. And you also get, I think you get 10% off if you use that link over on wpwatercooler.com/tunnelbear. All right, James, we've plugged all these things. We paid the bills. Tell us about yourself, James.
Well, since we're talking about multiple brands, I guess I'll take a little bit longer intro this time.
You should list out all your brands.
Oh man,
things that you do.
There's a lot of things that I do. But like to start, I'm James Tryon. I'm lead ambassador of WAPUs for the WordPress community, which I help promote brand awareness for WordPress, WordCamps community using our mascot WAPU. For my 9 to 5, I run an agency called Easily Amused. Actually, this month marks 20 years doing client work.
Aww.
So yeah, it's been a long time. Started as a sophomore in high school during my lunch break in the computer lab. So yeah.
Was that a front page? Was that a front page gig, or was that a Dreamweaver gig?
That was a Photoshop, because it was just CD covers and band T-shirts back then. That was pre-internet, and it used to be Quark, actually. Quark Express for
Quark
publishing.
Express.
Yeah,
awesome.
It was a long time ago.
Did you dabble at all in freehand by chance?
I loved freehand. That was my favorite vector program. I liked it because you can like set little things to be magnified. So like as you moved it around, it would actually give you the fisheye lens, but still distort your vectors. It was so cool. Yeah. But the other brands I have, let's see. I have a couple
of list. You're pulling out a list. I love it. Let me just go on my domain name register hosting place and figure out what all the different domains I have.
I mean, I actually started retweeting them. So I have one for affiliate links for Rick and Morty that I run called Salesman Rick, that I literally just have an affiliate site on Amazon that pulls in, and I get commission when people add things and check out on Amazon. We have a new one that Caldera Forums and myself and Vincent with Easily Amused started, which is BlocksWP.
Oh, yeah.
We're not really sure what we're doing with that yet. We're probably going to open that up. It's really a resource for learning, but that's that. I run the Twitter handle, and I'm pretty open to sharing this, the Goots. So I have the Goots Twitter account. It's the Gutenberg with sunglasses, and I retweet people's courses and stuff. So there's lots of little things like that. And then I have a new brand we're working on some branding on. I'm not quite ready to say, but we used to be part of another brand that we run called DFY Press, which is Done For You WordPress, which is our Easily Amused themes and plugin department, because we didn't want it to be tied to the actual brand. So, I mean, that's just a handful. I probably have a couple more laying around somewhere.
Cheryl and Sherry are in the Google Doc right now, typing all this stuff up. I just like, dude, can you slow down a second? There's too many things here. They're just finishing up the Rick and Morty one right now. So
I will repost those notes. I will update my notes afterwards. Oh man, when I was asked to be on the show, I was like, it's better than taking notes. So I don't. I feel for them.
Cheryl and Sherry, you can totally pull that if you want.
Oh, that's awesome.
But all of them are really just fun things for learning. I have a couple that are like my main focus, and I'm at a WordCamp. That's really the WAPU. So I have different places in different areas that I push. A lot of them are DBAs underneath the main brand, and then others are just get rolled in. Like as we do plugins, and it makes sense to make a custom plugin, we just release them under that brand. So like we have several plugins under the DFY press, or even some premium themes, but we just don't clutter the agency with that, and that's where it sits. Yeah, I mean, what do you think we should talk about first as far as pros and cons go?
Okay,
well, you want to define it a little bit, Bridget? Like, tell us, like, what was your take on this? Because you and I both had very similar kind of ideas on how we were going to approach this topic. So
that's so funny because I was following DFY Press, and even though it says sister company of Easily Amused, it never occurred to me that was you. Whereas I knew Blocks and Goots was you. So it's like, this is the thing. Ever since I've been in the WordPress space, I see this a lot more frequently where people have products and they have an umbrella and they're always, not always, but there's a frequent need or desire to fragment their branding so that the products have their own identities. And I just got through advising a client about this, where they were going to release a new product and make a brand new Twitter page and do a launch. And I'm like, no. They go, what do you mean? I'm like, you're going to launch a product with 0 Twitter followers on a brand new spanking clean URL of a brand new website that nobody heard of, instead of capitalizing on the brand that you already been spending time on that only has 500 followers on Twitter? Like, if you're Coca-Cola, you can make Sprite.
Oh yeah, easy.
By its own self, and you can keep Minute Maid by its own self and go to town. But if you don't have 10,000 Twitter followers, stop fragmenting your brand. Love Bridget. Like that, you can stop watching the show right there. So Jason Tucker and I, every like Wednesday afternoon, go, what should we talk about? And we joke, but sometimes that's true. But we've been talking about this with our producer, Jen.
We have a producer. This is awesome.
We do. Jen is our producer. And I thought, you know what? James has got a lot going on and he has a lot of good reasons to fragment. And personally, I am fragmented because I have Gidgee and I have YouTube Can Be Guru. And Gidgee, I started in 2007. And I talk about politics and religion. And for a long, like 2 of the taboos you're not supposed to talk about at the dinner table, right? And so, and I was very active with political campaigns, especially 2008 to 12. Before I was like, I'm not tying my career to people that lose. This is bullshit. Oops. And so anyway, but anyway, so then people were like asking me all these branding questions because of Riggins Construction. And I'm like, well, it definitely doesn't belong at Riggins Construction, but it doesn't belong at Gidgee. And that's when I made YouTube Can Be Guru. So sometimes it makes sense to fragment yourself because I needed a business side. I needed a professional side. I needed a venting. I'm just going to play jazz songs or talk about bad dates that went wrong or whatever. And this is my advice about business and marketing, kind of like that. So, but it has 16 and 12,000 followers. They're not at 200. Right. I'm not dividing but also like, I mean, let's be serious. If you divide, you just doubled your work.
You sure did. Right? And so you're doubling your mindset. You have to think of it in 2 different mindsets.
You have to think of it in 2 different ways, Like when I was working with Give was feminine, WordPress was masculine, right? So like with Bridget Gidgee talks about music and life and her feelings, and YouTube Could Be a Guru talks about branding and those kinds of things, right? So they almost never overlap, except Gidgee is my Slack handle. So I constantly get WordPress people overflowing that kind of boundary is starting to become where I'm like, I'm starting to wonder if I shouldn't just kill one of them, right? So like, when you have a stock split and then all of a sudden your stock is worth half as much, you have twice as much stock, but it's worth half as much.
Right.
Okay, so
but this has that same issue. We've talked about this before when you used to work over at Give, is that you have that that recurring revenue mindset,
right,
where with recurring revenue comes the responsibility to make sure that the recurring revenue continues.
Right.
So if you were to get rid of one of those and you looked and saw that you didn't have a one-to-one, every single person was following you, you're going to lose a huge chunk of people that could potentially be. Right.
Yeah,
so
like so we worked really hard at like positioning one to have a different audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the thing is, you got to have a plan. Like sometimes James said they just don't fit. Like he wants his agency work separate from his products, and that makes total sense, right? But if you have products and then every product has its own thing, then every time you release a product, you have to start over. And for me and for my friends in WordPress, who I love and adore, 95% of, I feel like I don't want you wasting your time for the time you don't already have. You're taking that away from your product development time. You know what I mean? So like there's kind of a consideration. And I know James, as a branding person and a person who is fragmented like we are, I mean, you and I are totally fragmented, Jason. Like we've talked about this, like even with WPwatercooler, like you have all the shows as products. Like maybe we keep those and only tweet from the one. Like how could we use our time better? It's a good conversation to have. I think it's beneficial for the whole community. That's all. It started out as a rant and I was like, well, wait a second. Sometimes this makes sense. So let's talk about it.
How are you approaching this, James? Like what's your take on this fragmentation piece?
Well, I don't necessarily like being as fragmented as I am, but certain things don't quite fit, or they're different ideas. Like, so I started, like I said, I started easily Amused when I was in high school, and that's kind of my own brand. Even though I've let people in and we shared, I would never sell that brand.
Yeah.
But having a different, and also you don't really sell an agency, you get acquired to your work. You don't really it's difficult for like a creative agency to grow past, what your client work. So the other stuff we started up with partnerships or other avenues of the agency work, and it really represented what they were. Now the current brand that I'm working on now, it happens to be in a different industry. Like last week's guest, it's actually about seed to sale tracking for government stuff, in the legal cannabis market. So I'm really looking into some cool, maybe, not, riding the green rush, if you will. But if something were to go bad, I don't want the government shutting down every one of my businesses.
Right.
So I actually forked it when it was the exact same as my other stuff. It's the same stuff. It's just for protection from all of my, I don't want WPUs to be shut down because Jeff Sessions threw a fit, so
yeah.
We're looking into doing that just to protect us. So that's why in some places, and other things are really just fun ideas because we were, when you have the ability to make things, like we're makers, we're craft people, we're creatives, like it's not so much that their brands really are just an afternoon of ideas and like, let's see what happens when we're learning. So some of these just become into like fun side projects that might last a year or two and then they'll go away. But for the most part, it's really like, how do you represent and still sell something for very expensive and then turn around and sell it really inexpensive? So at that point, I felt the plugin brands had to be separate from the agency work, so the work didn't devalue if we were selling a plugin for $39 or building it custom for $5,000.
Right.
That brings up a good thing though regarding that, is if you sell something, wouldn't you want to also sell the social media stuff as well? And if you can't sell the social media stuff as well, then you've just kind of, you didn't make that thing even more rich. And sorry to cut you off, Bridget, but you had that piece, right? You're like, darn, you have a Facebook page, you have a Twitter account, maybe you cultivating something on LinkedIn. You had all these different kind of irons going at the same time. And now you can't add those in as line items in that thing that you're going to be selling off to somebody else to acquire.
Brand
that makes it tough too. Yeah.
But sometimes there's other reasons, like tax reasons. So, for example, when I was in trucking, what we were going to do was create a corporation in Nevada that owned the actual equipment and then lease it to yourselves. Lease it to the one company, leases it to the other, so that you don't have assets. Because you can write off expenses, but you can't write off assets. It just has a depreciation schedule. So there's sometimes business and financial and tax reasons why you have other companies that people start calling shell companies and other stuff like that. So there's a lot of reasons. That's why I'm saying there's pros and cons. It's just, it means that's another set of paperwork that you have to set up. I thought about my dragon has a name. Long story with the tattoo, but
okay. We're waiting for you to define what a dragon was.
No, like Sherry and Cheryl took my dragon tattoo and they made it my brand, BridgetWillard.com. And this is literally the dragon that's on my hip, because I want it to be feminine and fierce and that they're not mutually exclusive properties, and to remind myself that I'm strong. It's not it's on my hip on my right hand side. So anyway, so while I was getting this tattoo, my artist and I talked about what her name was. She said, you need to name her. I'm like, Sabrina Rochelle. And she goes, oh, wow. I'm like, it's a fierce and feminine name, right? So I thought I should, because what happens if I get married?
Yeah.
Right? If I get married, do I keep Bridget Willard? Or do I, because I was Bridget Willard for 23, I've been Bridget Willard since I was for 45 years now in June, right? So do I keep it like a stage name? Like, this is literally what's going through my mind. One day I'm going to get married again. I will take my husband's name. Or do I not take his name because BridgetWillard.com is my brand? Or do I make an LLC that's like Sabrina Rochelle Marketing or something? And then I'm just Bridget whatever, and I just get married, right?
You just work for your tattoo is all, right?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I literally started filling out paperwork on LegalZoom.com, and then Jen Miller's like, what are you doing? That's crazy, because it's not you. I'm like, yeah, but as a woman, we change our names when we get married, and my goal is to get married. I'm going to get married sometime in the next 10 years, I hope. Well, I'll get a boyfriend first, but still, you know what I'm saying? Like, the name will change. So my branding being Bridget Willard is going to change.
Yeah.
That's a legitimate question for me, because it's BridgetWillard.com, 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 right? And so then what do you do? Like, how do you survive that? Like, what if it's some bizarro name, you know? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these are the things to think about. Should you be a company instead of your name? Or should you be your name? Like, if you're a man, I mean, maybe you're a gay man and you take your husband's name, but most of the time men don't change their last names.
Right.
I mean, technically they can, and we talked about that. We talked about the entire family changing names once, but that is like, I met a couple once and they had pretty good SEO value on both of their names, and they just decided not to change the names because of SEO reasons.
Right.
And it's not that they didn't like each other. It was really just like, I'm not going to take that SEO ding, so we're not.
That's where I am. Isn't that terrible? It's taken me a long time to build that.
Well, we all have our own personal brands too. Like,
That's
people recognize us, and then on top of us promoting, and even the same thing with someone sponsors WPU, they're really sponsoring me to go out and talk about products and be me and hang out at the party. So it's really, as much as we have other brands, we also have our own personal brands that reflect all of the brands. It's it's a little different.
That's interesting. What Sherry's saying in the chat room is that the idea of using your middle name as your like faux surname kind of thing, a name after your first name, and being able to use that as a way of differentiating yourself from the other Bridgets, which was funny to even come up with that, because of the fact that you yourself, if I remember correctly, you don't have a middle name, right, Bridget?
Well, so I wasn't given a middle name by my parents. So when I got married, I gave myself Marie. I wanted it to be Ann. I like Bridget Ann, but I could never be Bridget Ann McCann because that was stupid. That was my maiden name. So when I got
see.
married, I was going to make it Bridget Ann Willard, but that's my husband's ex-wife's name. So that's gone forever, right? As a choice.
So
But then I
SEO,
thought about,
if you want to say that's bad SEO on your part, you know?
right? So then I was BMW, Bridget Marie Willard, BMW, my initials. And so, but I liked Elizabeth, and I thought about changing my name to that. But then, like, there's lots of Elizabeths. There's hardly any Bridgets, and you know what I mean. Like, you go through this whole thing,
Yeah.
it's the same thing that happens with a product, a company, a person. They're all identities, and if you've invested your resources in promoting them and people know them, then changing it really makes it's an impact. You know, you can do it. But, you know, here's an example, because I listen to talk radio a lot, or my husband used to do for sure. But I turn on for the dog. And for a long time, I would know all the jingles, right? So there was this one, Sabino and Barnes, injury attorneys, 1-888-888, right? Well, guess what? It's not Sabino and Barnes anymore. It's just Sabino. So I guess either Barnes died or he quit or something. And the jingle doesn't even work. I don't even remember it. And I've heard it about 50 times. But I remember Sabino and Barnes, injury attorneys, 1-888-888.
That's funny. I get it. Yeah. And so,
So like so now, even though the Barnes is gone, their branding is ruined. Like I don't even know their phone number anymore. Serious.
No, I get it. I'm trying to think of how you would approach that. I guess going with what Sherry was saying of having a just adding another word to your name just makes it. I mean, it's even like I'm seeing bands nowadays. Like even like bands are using just a single word with camel case capitalization, just so they can say like, this is our hashtag. This hopefully is our Twitter account. This is also this is all, like, it makes all the URLs, makes everything just have like that word in it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big difference because, you know, if you have Van Halen and there's no longer a Van Halen, is the band really Van Halen? But that's why it was named after the guitar player, not the lead singer. So it didn't matter if David Lee Roth left and it was whatever his other name was. I Can't Drive 55. Sammy Hagar. It doesn't matter because the band is still Van Halen because Eddie Van Halen is in it.
Right.
It's his band. So like, that's what I'm saying. It's not just stuff in WordPress. It takes a long time to build brand recognition to get it to where people who hear commercials or think of that, or like somebody reached out to me about some plugin place. They're like, oh yeah, you know us as Smush It. And I'm like, oh, I've heard Smush It, because I always think push it. Smush it real good, you know, like in my brain. But I don't know who WPMUV is, or MU. I still can't even say it. And I talk to the people, you know, I was like applying for a job. Like it's like a mouthful, right? Whereas Smush It goes through your head. I wonder if that's why they named it Smush It. I would love to know that backstory.
They acquired it. It was already named Smush It before.
No, but I know. I wonder if that's why it was named Smush It after the.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
You know how like there's a lot of times
like Smush It real good. Yeah.
Smush It real good. You know, like because a lot of times in WordPress plugins have a joke, like Kraken. Release the Kraken. So. Anyway, you know, the thing is, do you want your product known more than the company who owns it?
Yeah, like we were actually, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Chris Lima, but we were talking with him, and when we were actually discussing this as a group before, and he was saying, do you want to be a house of brand or a house of brands or a brands of, I'm messing it up, like a house of brands or a brand of houses or something. It's like
cards.
Well, it's like, do you want one brand representing a bunch of little brands, or do you want a bunch of individual brands? And you already are saying how much effort it is to run all those individual brands, but it's
yeah.
I mean, like, let's say someone that owns, like, well, for example, like Tide, and like the people who own Tide, they own, you know, tons of other. I think it might be Procter and Gamble, but they own like all those other brands, you know, and all the, you know, from when it comes to dish detergents or laundry detergents or or shampoos, and most people don't realize what Procter and Gamble is. They just know
Right.
what Tide is.
Yeah, it's like Unilever, same difference. They don't know that Axe is owned by Unilever, same as
Yeah.
Dove. One is feminine,
Right.
one is masculine. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So it depends, but that means you have to put your effort into that product, right? So it's fine if you're a giant company, you know, Nestle or whoever that owns Oreo. You want to have that, then you can have your own team for that. But when we're a bunch of agencies that have 1 to 5 people,
Mm-hmm.
that's a real crush on your infrastructure, you know? That's what I'm saying. It's like, if you don't have the resources to put toward building that brand, is it worth fragmenting?
Yeah,
Or
I would
could you
say-
just build on the audience you already have?
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth. I mean, I know, like I said, I'm fragmenting, but it's really not worth it to separate yourselves, because you get busy. You can only do so many things at once. Then you're like, well, I don't think I've tweeted in 3 or 4 days under this brand, and it's not good. You get stagnant. You don't continue to grow that brand. It's not helping anything. It's just getting in the way and creating more stress.
Yeah. I know. That's the thing. It's like, if you can put the resources behind the product, then the product being by itself is a good thing. And that's one thing that Give did right. Well, look, we're calling it Give. It's WordPress, right?
Mm-hmm.
They put
Right.
they put their resources behind that one product while they were developing other ones. And that's how you do it, right? So then everybody knows Give. And now it has a robust identity of its own, you know, and so it's something that people understand. But if you cannot, and like, we published 4 times a week for a year. It was an aggressive growth campaign. They have, now they're doing sales calls, and they have employees that do customer service and things like that. If you're following along with their progress as a company, as a product. But as a company, you don't really know what's happening with the company because they're not talking about it. So that's their choice. So you can do that. You can definitely do that and be successful because they are doing it. And we were successful. So, but if you have 5 different plugins and you're one person with maybe a couple helpers.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 12 people, you can do it. You have 1 to 3. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't, that's when it becomes, it could be, I always say, here's my basic advice. Go ahead and get the handles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
There's nothing wrong with getting all the social handles. You can always point them elsewhere and say, hey, we're just saving this Twitter. Go follow our agency at blah, 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 and then you can phase your efforts. And as you grow, you can scale those efforts for sure.
Or even if you're going to build a product at some point and you're like, I really love this name and no one's going to take this name right now.
Right.
Just flag plant it. Don't do anything with it. Just keep it an egg and go like, all right, at some point I'm going to jump back in and actually use this.
Well, it'd be good to say this product is coming soon. Go see our website and point to your home website.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if the product is called Volcano Forms, you probably won't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to go and like tell Caldera Forms you're building a competitor of theirs and it's called this. And by the way, go to this link to go do it. So I mean, there's a strategy involved in.
No, you could. I would call it. Well, I mean, first of all, I love Josh and Christy with my whole heart, but it should have been called Volcano because Caldera is a volcano that died. I would love to talk them into changing their brand. Because I love them so much. I love you, Josh and Christy. I love you so much. But that image for people.
No, but you know what I mean? Those types of things. Like if you're going to make a product, if it's competitive, levitation form, it's called levitation form. And you're like, oh, levitation form. This is great. Easily News is definitely going to be making levitation form in the next 6 months. You're like, oh, crap. Okay, we can't do this. Don't do that.
So instead of this is ninjas, it's the Shanghais. So
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? You could do that if you wanted to be funny. But yeah, I see what you're saying. But there's definitely strategies and reasons why you can. But my biggest takeaway is you have to put the resources behind it and just be cognizant of how much time it takes to build an account, because it takes physical time. I do that. It's what I do. It takes
So like
time.
for instance, for me, for all the different show ideas that I've come up with, I sat down one day and said, I want to do more than just one show. I want to do more than WP Watercooler, because WP Watercooler is only a bunch of people getting together talking about WordPress. That's it. That's all that happens on that show. We're not like creating anything special. We're not doing any we're not creating plugins. We're not talking about business. We're not talking none of those things. It's like very, very specific type of, very broad but very specific type of topic. Where WPblab, we're talking about a very specific thing, which is a marketing side of things, a business side of things, those sorts of pieces to it. There's other stuff I want to do that's very WordPress related still, that I've talked about in the past couple episodes. It was like a thing for doing nonprofit work with WordPress, just managing a WordPress nonprofit website and doing that sort of thing. You used to do a nonprofit chat back in the day.
Yep.
Those sorts of things. So, I just start flag planting. I'm not pointing links to nothing. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just going like, I think I'm going to use a couple of these names. I buy a couple of domain names. If I never use them, I get rid of them. And then they turn into some, spam site or some whatever site, when they go to retire. But, the idea is that I want to at least kind of plant my flag a little bit there. But that also goes back to the fact that all the brands, all those different properties go into the one thing, which is WP Watercooler.
Right. And now with Twitter actually enforcing rules they've always had because of tweet decking or whatever, it's kind of ruined one of the main reasons why you would want several Twitter accounts, so that you can really push, information out. It's kind of what made me think maybe I should merge Gidgee and YouTube Can Be Guru.
I would love to see what the stats are between those two and how many of them have an overlapping audience.
Oh, of my two accounts, you mean?
Yeah. Like what percentage is an overlapping account?
It's very little overlap, because I picked up a crap ton of people from politics, and
Right.
about at least 85% of my WordPress people are on the other one. They would hate me because, I'm the Christian, white, straight, non-developer woman that's a Republican. I'm the minority. I think there's 5 Republicans in the WordPress community, not one of them. I think one died last year. But it's just, I need to be able to. I don't really rant about politics anymore, because after my husband died, none of that matters to me. Something just clicks in your brain. The only thing that matters to me is people now. And that's the other reason why I'm thinking it doesn't matter if I merge them anymore, because I am me. I don't feel personally that I'm as divided as I had to be before also. I've thought about it, but then, it's a lot to maintain both. And do I really need to maintain both? Obviously I would keep the one that has 16,000 followers. I've had it since 2007. The other one I've only had since 2011. But I guess if I started saying, hey, you guys, follow me over here, and then just let it slowly die a slow death. I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. It's pros and cons.
There's definitely repercussions in that. Just like we were talking about earlier, that I mentioned the fact that if you were to sell that brand at some point, having that as something to add on to it. But the other thing is that you have a history behind this as well. So like, for instance, Bridget's been on a couple different YouTube shows, a couple different things like that, where you've mentioned this over and over again. And you've even done feedback on different big shows as well that that have been played. Gary Vaynerchuk, you were on one of his shows, and Twice. You had so you had those posted on there.
I know.
But, you
So that's what I'm saying. It's
not to
like,
say that you know, somebody's going to listen to that and go, oh man, I gotta go follow Bridget. Bridget's awesome. But if somebody were to do that, then they go like, where'd this person go? Like, she said she was an expert and she can't even like maintain a Twitter account. What's going on here?
that's primarily why I've kept it, and I've kept it business-like, because, and now what I'm doing is I'm like almost every week I'm going, well, I can't share my client stats, but here's mine. Yeah, I did
Right.
1,000 tweets last month for myself.
Oh
Mm.
No,
wow.
it's not a cobbler's children have no shoes. I do it and I do it right, and that's why it's $1,200 a month. You know, you want growth
Yeah.
like I have, you're gonna get better than what I do for myself. You know what I'm saying? So that's been part of my kind of ability to share those stats, you know. And I
Mhm.
don't know, and probably if I merged them, I would lose followers from both. It's a risk, right? So
Right.
like that's what I'm saying. You have to think, you know, can you put the resources? So what I do is I focus on me as a musician on the other one. But Gidgey's shorter, and people know me as Gidgey because that's always been my high school nickname, which is why it's my email. In fact, Jamal was like, why is it bridgetwiller.com and your email is gidgey@gmail.com? Like, because I don't want another email address. I want, you know
Do
what?
you
I
have
want,
Gidgey as a .com? Do you have that domain name?
no.
Yeah. See, and that's another thing. It's like these things need to be consistent throughout the entire thing. If
I
I
know
mean,
that's what
in a
happens
perfect
when you
world,
piecemeal a side hustle that's been a side hustle forever, and all of a
right?
sudden it's like, you know, oh poof, I'm a business.
James, do all your brands have a domain name associated with them?
Yeah, and all the domains have their exact Twitter accounts, except for Easily Amused, because someone's sitting on easilyamused.com. But I have Easily Amused all their socials, but that's Easily Amused INC. But everything else is the exact. In fact, most of my brands are those brands because those were the only brands available that I can get the entire set of.
Yeah.
So I've had great names that I've decided not to go with because someone was squatting a Twitter account.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't
All
know. Like,
corresponding.
to me, like, see, you guys are smart on stuff like that. Like, to buy a domain name and know what to do with it. Gidgey.com is available from GoDaddy, actually.
Well, what I'll tell you right now, Bridget, is you don't need to go and buy a whole new web hosting package for the domain name.
No, I know that because I have 1 to 5 sites with Pressable for my $25, and I only have 2. No, I know. Like, well, I did with.
Well, I called Bridget one time and she goes, I started this thing. And by the way, I got a domain name for it. Like, what are you doing, Bridget? Like, you can host more than one website on a domain.
I know, but I wanted Gutenbridget.com to be totally separate from my other stuff just in case Gutenberg did something bad.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Like, I don't want it touching each other. I don't know enough to, like, that's the thing is, like, I know enough to be dangerous. I know the ideas. I need an IT person. I'm not an IT person.
If only you knew an IT person. So
I know, right?
I have no idea where you would find one of those.
But yeah, totally. I don't know. I know I could do like a Google for work and go Bridget@bridgetwiller.com and it would go to Gidgey at Gmail, but I just didn't. I just thought it's just Gidgey at Gmail. I don't need to be pretentious. This is just me. I don't know. See, that's the thing is I haven't even done it consistently with myself. Because it's been
safe
a side
to say
hustle.
you blockaded your Gutenberg brand, says Kevin.
Blockaded. That's funny. Nice pun. I love it. I love Kevin. It's so awesome. Gutenbridget.com. It doesn't have its own Twitter. I just did it so I could do GitHub issues with some kind of level of intelligence. But I haven't touched it since like for like a month, and now it's like who even knows what's happening with Gutenberg? I can't keep up with that crap.
So what other cons can we come up with that go?
Okay,
that go
cons
with this line
is
of
definitely
work?
money, resources for building the actual human resources.
Yeah.
And if you outsource it, that's also money, resources. The other con is them not knowing you, starting over from scratch, right? So if Jason Tucker has a brand and he releases a plugin like, oh wow, Jason Tucker built it, that's great. But if Gutenbridget.com releases a plugin, nobody knows who that is. It's not gonna, you know what I mean? But they know Jason Tucker, right? So you're starting from scratch could be good if you had a bad reputation, but if you have a good reputation, it's bad, bad, bad.
Yeah. Or if you have a partner that screws up on you and does something bad, or who knows what. There's all sorts of different ones that could really mess you up.
Yeah, I mean, diversification and having not all of your eggs in the same basket is a cliche for a reason, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
But when we were at Valet, when we were teaming up together between Easily Amused and Valet, the problem we had at that point was we were doing a lot of work, but then people would be like, "Oh, we didn't know you do these things." So even though we were working and doing some high-end stuff with them, like sometimes departments or services would get lost. So we had a lot of time, a hard time distinguishing, oh, should we go back on our own or should it be together? Because people just aren't aware of these services, or if they are there, what is part of the creative agency side and what is part of the maintenance side, and where do you draw the line? And I know that's the problem with offering too many services or spreading yourself too thin. But I love the people of LA. It's a great company, but it just didn't quite work after 4 years of like, I mean, we did good, but it was a lot of explaining, a lot of like, oh, did you know this? Or a client would go and have something done and come back and you're like, we had an entire agency that would have helped you with those things. So sometimes that like trying to do too much with one brand, or being like even one brand not marketing it correctly, explaining everything you do, and that's not necessarily an excuse to rebrand. Maybe we should have did a better job advertising what we did or being
marketing.
clear.
Yeah.
So I mean that's
because people say, oh, da 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 da, and I'm like for example, I'll just Staging Pilot's my client, and they'll go, oh, Nathan Tyler wrote Staging Pilot? Yeah. Well, I would have checked it out a long time ago if I knew it was Nathan Tyler. Well, that's what we're trying to correct right now. Right? Like,
yeah.
But the thing is, like, because Nathan Tyler has a really good reputation, you start over a new Twitter account, it takes a long time to get people to realize, oh, that's him, and that's why he hired me. But it, that's but it costs.
Yeah.
Right? You have to start over. And it's good for me. I'm glad for the work. That's not what I'm saying. But ideally I would have told him to never have done that in the first place. That's me. But then again, he has services side and a product side. So, but if you kept it on Tyler Digital, people wouldn't know it because they're already followed Tyler Digital because Nathan Tyler's a badass and people know who he is, right? So that's the thing. It's like sometimes keeping your product aligned with who you are is a very good thing, and trying to find that line is really tricky. So I'm not sure we answered it for anybody. We probably just gave people more questions. But if anybody has questions in the comments on the website or on YouTube, leave them there or email me. I just told everybody my email address 1,000 times, gidgy@gmail.com. I will answer. I mean, I love super specific questions because I like to help people. That's the teacher of me, and that's never going to die. But we got to the part of the show where we're supposed to have our tool or tip of the week.
Yes. You have yours, Bridget?
I do not.
All right, James, how about you start?
Yeah, I have a great tool. Let me find the link to make sure. It's the tool that I've been using a lot lately is called Mind Doodle. It's MINDDOODLE.com. It's an amazing mind mapping tool. I have no idea how they're making money. It's completely free. I don't understand it. It's a great tool. I met one of the representatives hanging out at WordCamp US, and I think they used to be another brand and then rebranded because their product wasn't quite working, but it's the same underground engine. But I'll tell you, it's amazing. I've been like just stubbing out large scale projects, just trying to understand where things go and feature requests and taxonomies and post types, and then it lets you do the mind map and then clicks a button and then it resorts it so you can see it very organized and you can add a lot of notes to it. So I've thoroughly been enjoying that. You can invite people to share, and you can have multiple projects. It's called minddoodle.com.
That's awesome. Yeah, the link gave me a
cool.
404 too.
Oh no.
But you know, it could have server issues or something.
Yeah, well, we sent a very large amount of traffic to it right now off of our. They're hosted at $1 hosting .xyz.
Let's try it again.
They're saying to take out the slash.
So why does that matter? Internet stuff is hard.
Internet stuff's hard.
Link. Yeah.
Somebody's HT-access is messed up. Let's just say that. I have one. So I've been talking a lot about that product called SetApp, and SetApp is the best bang for your buck way of being able to download a whole bunch of stuff that you used to spend $15 per app on. You know, going like, man, I can change some text using this tool, or I can resize an image with this tool, and all these things, and you start spending $5 here and $3 there and whatever. So I'm not going to tell you more about SetApp because I've already talked about that in the past. But if you go over to pasteapp.me, they make this product, and you can also buy it or get it through the SetApp app, which is that whole Netflix for apps type of thing on the Mac. And what this thing does is it's a way of being able to manage your clipboard on your Mac. But it does more than just the clipboard, because it also makes it so that it gives you a visual representation of each thing that you paste in there, including bits of text that you use over and over again. You can search through those texts and try to find it. I love it. I think it's just a really cool way of being able to kind of take that text and move it around. The one other thing I like about it, if you're somebody who's on an older iPhone that doesn't have iCloud support, being able to copy and paste between your phone and your computer, it also allows you to do that as well. So take a look at that. Take a look at that. I love it. Pasteapp.me. Really, really cool stuff. So
I will give you my tool or tip request.
Oh, okay. A request. Developers, put on your developing hats.
So for I don't know, since 2005, I've been using Macs solely at home, at work, everywhere. And now I have a part-time job where for 4 hours I use a Windows computer. And then when I do the karaoke hosting, I use a Windows computer.
Oh my God.
And as you know, the keyboard is slightly different because it's Command-C, Command-V, or Alt-C, Alt-V, which are totally different things. And every day I go back and forth. I would like this keyboard that works on Windows. If anybody knows it, I will probably pay $100 for that just to bring it to work so I don't have to change my muscle memory just to do some work. No, it's funny because I'm going through, doing some marketing things. I'm going through the business cards, and I am, following them on Instagram and everything. And I tell you what, you guys, the people not having their social links on their websites is the most annoying thing ever. Because I know they're usually either at the way top or at the way bottom. But I cannot even tell you how many websites I've looked at in the last month that do not have social links at all. That's travel related, big giant companies. I'm talking hotels, airlines, and resorts that don't have links on their websites. Guys, seriously, get it together and hire a legit developer, or websites that aren't on WordPress. WordPress is my tool or tip of the week. I can't even tell you, going in the back end of something, not being able to edit a page because it's in some bizarro proprietary CMS BS thing, and not having meta keywords and we take Yoast for granted, and that we have, well, unless you work on make.org. Make WordPress sites, but having keywords and meta descriptions.
Yeah,
look, I'm just saying, so that's a threefold request. Number one, put your links. Number two, stop using crappy CMSs. And if anybody knows a keyboard I can use on a Windows that has the Mac behavior, I would love you forever.
Couldn't you just map the key?
I don't even know what that means. I write, remember? I'm not an IT person. But if you can, I'm for it. Because I can't take it.
There's keyboards that look just like the Mac keyboard that are for Windows. So it won't have the buttons in the same spot because Windows people would just go in a murderous rampage.
I want the buttons on the same spot. So you know what I've been doing is using my mouse more. So instead of doing my keywords, I know I can right click and go copy, right click, paste. Right click, copy, right click, paste. Instead of Command V, Command C, Command V.
So the other problem with that is, since we got 10 minutes, I can explain a few things.
Thank you.
On Windows, for instance, no one at Microsoft said, let's do a switch campaign where we're going to get everybody that goes from a Mac to a Windows computer. They did the other way around. They said, okay, everybody, all these people have Windows computers, these poor people, we're going to save them. Everybody, please go buy a Mac. And then we're going to make a thing that makes it so that you can map those keys, just like he was saying, map those keys. So when you have your muscle memory and you click on, you hold down like command is actually control usually on a Windows computer. So yeah, there's some programs that you can use that will do it. The problem is the next person that sits down at that computer is you're going to have to remember to turn off those maps every single time you use that computer.
I swear I'm like 5 seconds away from bringing my laptop.
People are going to look at you really weird because you're going to walk in with your keyboard and like, oh, wow, she brought her keyboard today. Check this out. And then she's going to have her little white keyboard and her phone and everything. And you're going to sit there and, work on the Windows computer. And
I
then
should
you're
bring my own mic
and walk out.
Because of your germs.
Yep.
And you just look cool.
The more you know.
You just look cool, exactly.
I'm just saying. We all knew that I was weird. I'm just like, no, but I've used Canvas so much lately. I love it more and more every day. They finally fixed some of the bugs on the iOS app too, with it not working correctly.
Yeah, the biggest one is that you can actually start with a blank page. Who would have thought? Oh my gosh.
That's what I want to do. You
can start with a blank page. You can output a build out video of like all the stuff being built out onto the screen. Mm-hmm. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, I've been also doing more specific targeting on Facebook. It didn't work for the karaoke, but I put $20 toward people who like karaoke and bars to the event. For anybody
within walking distance,
10 miles of 92629. Yeah.
You're like, who's single, who's male, who makes this amount of money, who doesn't mind somebody who uses WordPress and doesn't mind somebody using a Mac. Ooh. Okay, dating service. Here we go.
Oh, this is a very good idea, actually. I better get better results than Bumble.
Facebook pops up and says, are you single? Are you looking to mingle? Are you interested in singing with Bridget? Come to Bridget's thing. Check it out now.
Can you use the Oxford comma? Right. And do you know what century we're in and who won World War II?
I wonder if
Facebook
ads. You think it's against the terms of service of Facebook to put up a buy personal ad space? Like you could get pretty niche and targeted. You just literally put up your own
she uses the karaoke. Page. She uses the karaoke as the way to make it all legit. Because then you're like, oh, can you sing? Come over here, check this out. And then Bridget's singing, and the
words are Danny would be like, why are there so many men here between 38 and 52? Oh, you could do their income level with or without kids. Oh my god, that would be epic. Oh, do you really retweet? Good one, Kevin. Yeah, because I can't have those button pushers, Oh my gosh, we have fun on this show.
We do have fun on this show.
That's the main thing. But the truth is, you can't do that. And I'm finding myself telling people more and more, look, if you want a specific audience, just put $20 toward on Facebook. Move on with your life. Yep. I actually had a client who said to me, well, I don't know. I don't think Instagram works at all. And I'm like, well, it's kind of the DVD extras. It's like the background. And then about 20 minutes earlier, she had said to me, you know, I've been watching your Instagram for the last year or so. And I really like you as a person. So I thought, you know, who could do my social media? You. So the next time I talked to her, I said, when she said that she doesn't think Instagram works for lead generation, I said, you know that's why you called me though, right? I would love my tool for the week to be ask people where they come from and don't accept the internet as the answer. And are people even self-aware? Do they even know why? You know, like, are we asking? That's a good topic. Are we even asking our customers how they found us? Or are we just deciding that we don't think this is a good use of our resources?
Well, we need to get somebody. If anyone knows anyone who's an advertising person for Facebook who really uses Facebook for advertising, yeah, let us know. Shoot me an email, jason@WPwatercooler.com, and we can definitely talk about that. I would love to.
Did you have an email here for topic ideas too, Fred?
Yeah, topics@WPwatercooler.com. That's been around for a while. Feel free to leave a topic suggestion in there.
You know what's interesting?
Folks, do we wrap it up? What do you think, Bridget?
I will say though that ethics video that we have.
Oh yeah.
Morton is going to be speaking at WordCamp Europe. So if you want to get a preview of it, go watch our previous episode with Morton about ethics and tech. And thanks, James, for being on our show at last minute, talking about Valet and Easily Amused and Wapoos. And you know, you got to give a little link, though, for the Gutenberg Wapoo, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Here.
I know that Gutenberg is not going to be out in April like it was supposed to be, but it looks like the Guten Wapoo is available.
Dude, that's so cool. I love the G.
I totally have to go get that at wapoo.us.
That's so good.
And the rest of the Miami pins are there too. We made a cool little
10-year set.
Nice.
It was a good camp. It was a nice 10 years of working at Miami. So I've missed 3 of them. So, yeah, but I've gone to 7. That was my 7th WordCamp Miami. It was great.
Awesome. Well, James, tell everybody where they can go to find you and to get more information about all the cool stuff you're doing.
You can find me on Twitter at James Tryon or at Wapoos. You can find me at easilyamused.com, easilyamusedinc.com, and at a local WordCamp near you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, James, for hanging out with us. Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com and click on the links there to subscribe and share this particular content. We'd really appreciate it. Special shout out to Tunnel Bear. You can go to WPwatercooler.com/TunnelBear to learn about their awesome product, AES 256 encryption. You can show up on all different places. You can even try it out for free for 500 megabytes for the first month to give it a shot and see how it works. So you can load up Google probably a couple hundred times off of that just to go see how it looks and everything and how it looks on different in different countries. So feel free to go take a look at that. And while you're there, look at their branding. Their branding is freaking on point. On point. They have bears that are popping up out of tunnels all over the place. Stuff on their website. It is amazing. So feel free to go take a look at that. Again, just to remember, you do get a percentage off by checking it out. I'd highly recommend it. And tell me about it. Tell me what you thought about it, because I use it myself and I love it. Bridget, where can people find you real quick?
They can find me at bridgetwillard.com.
Awesome. Hire her. She does amazing things. She does amazing things for me, and I don't pay her, so it's really cool. So
that's a family discount.
Family discount. All right, folks. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.